Is that something new technologically? We don't have to do that?
No, sir, we don't have anybody calling in today. That's the only reason we use that, when someone calls in. Our broadcast is through those speakers up, the mics up there.
No additions or corrections to the minutes.
No, sir.
Have to be careful with the hills on board. Because you pick up
I know.
I get that. It's supposed to be black. It's block. I'm ready.
They're misspelling encyclopedia.
It's an encyclopedia.
No, they still do make them.
I can't believe they do. They're out of print. So
Mostly for foreign countries, but
My younger daughter teaches language arts at West Middle School. What'd you say?
They can text, no? And they
Oh, I
write
know.
like they text.
And
No, I
they
think
just
it's for Saturday.
Letters like IDK, I don't know.
I know.
we used to proofread
I can do it, right? Doesn't seem necessary.
You wrote this like you speak.
I can
Text. Your English teacher is not.
They cross that in the form, if you'd stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, on prayer if you choose to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us a task before us and make us up and willing to support those tasks and to answer the questions of the people of Hendricks County and respond correctly. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. If you haven't signed in out front, please do so. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from May the 22nd.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second. Moving to second. Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, they're not opposed. Gary, you're up.
Morning, sir. We have two sealed quotes for the John Green regulated drain. First one's from Marine Excavating.
This is for repair of the damage. Absolutely, yes.
Does anybody want to know where the John Green is?
Well, I know Michael and Jack, and I know what it is. You might want to show.
It's right up in the northeast part of the county, 1,000 north and 1,000 east, actually. Wings Meadows, just north of Wings Meadows.
First quote is from Marine Excavating for $9,600. Second quote is from Beechwood Construction for $6,225.
Tiffany will get back to us. Next item on the agenda is claims to be paid, review fees. Christopher Burke, $19,062.32.
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and second. Further discussion. Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
They're not opposed, motion carries. Next is drain maintenance expenses for a total of $2,570.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Further discussion. Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
They're not opposed, motion carries. Acceptance of the auditor report for the same amount.
So moved.
I'll second it. Moved and seconded. Discussion of the auditor's report acceptance. Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
They're not opposed, motion carries. First item on the projects is Briarwood, Section 1, Stoppable.
I'm not sure why the beacon's not bringing up road names aren't, but anyway, this is 900 East, US 36, there it is, 100 North. And so we have, okay, there it is. The area in questions here that's being developed in the town of Avon. This is our tile on the west side of 900. It outlets into the county, into the Feeney. And so I'm recommending approval, and I don't know that anyone from Stopworth is here. Oh, you can come on up. Come on.
Yes, please come forward. Give your name and the address of your agency, if you would, please.
I put my glasses on, so I can read. My name is Ryan Rediger with Stepworth and Associates, located at 7965 East 116, Fishers, Indiana, on behalf of Drees Homes.
So this is in the town of Avon. The only issue, and this is something maybe we need to talk about, I'm recommending that they replace this tile drain because it is an old metal with trees growing up in it along the ditch. And it's really not in great shape, so I'm recommending approval, but I would like to see this replaced. And that's something that
I think
maybe.
that's appropriate.
we need
And
to
Well,
talk
that was gonna be my only question. I read it yesterday, I received this, and I just was gonna raise the question. I'm not gonna dispute it, I'm just gonna raise the question, why? So if it's degraded and it needs to be done, I just wanted to know
Yes.
why.
is an old metal pipe that needs to be replaced. And so if they want to use it for the outlet, great, but I think it needs to be replaced.
well, to me, in my personal opinion, now's the time to replace it
Right.
before you get people in there and they have problems with it.
Right.
My only question, I measured it, it's about 1,100 feet from, you're saying like the south prop of
Yeah.
our project is this frontage, so you're from here all the way to the outlet then?
Right. Yeah, I think it needs to be replaced across your property because you're going to be utilizing it.
Yeah.
So, and then to the north, because it just needs to be replaced to be able to handle this.
And that, the total, your recommendation, the total number of feet are,
From the south property line to the outlet into the open ditch.
all right. You've heard do you have any more presentation regarding this?
No, I mean, this is just for section 1, it's 28 lots, the total is 55, but yeah.
What size is the tile, or I guess it's not tile, but
Yeah, it's a metal
Metal
pipe. It's, I believe it's 24 inch, isn't it, Tiffany?
I think it's 24.
Yeah.
is that large enough for all, obviously it's old, is
Yeah.
that big enough, or does it need to be upsized for, what it needs to carry?
Yeah, I don't think so. The only thing this is really carrying is Prairie Manor, which is in the county here. There is some drainage into this. This is Carolina Commons. This is in the county. I can't remember if they have an outlet here. I don't think so, but it's plenty good size to handle. And they're proposing detention, so there's no problem with capacity. It's just is an old metal pipe.
There is a certain life to that metal pipe, and if it's deteriorated now, it's not gonna last much longer.
It's going to need to be replaced at some point in time. Yeah.
Well, then, to address Michael's question, which is appropriate, be replaced with smooth wall plastic, or are you talking about reinforced concrete or what?
We can work with the engineer on that and the developer.
Because either one of those will carry more water than the old
Yeah.
galvanized pipe.
Right.
But I think it's appropriate, your recommendation. So Chair will entertain a motion to support the surveyor's recommendation.
Question.
Absolutely.
So if we have, if we do not have them do this now, who does it later on?
It'll either be us, or if it gets annexed, it'll be in the town of Avon. But a government entity will do it if it's not done now.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I move to approve S-04-25-1 final with the caveat of having that outlet drain replaced.
Thank you. I will second that. Is there further discussion?
Oh, from the confluence of the development to the Feeney drain.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Is the developer willing to do this?
I'll have to run it by him. I'll have a discussion with him. The only question I have is there are two pipes running next. I thought we were connecting to a 24-inch HDPE pipe, but is that not correct? There are two,
I don't know of any two pipes there.
well,
Is there a 24-inch there?
yeah.
Well, the 24, but yeah.
They're tapping into the 24.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the material was at that location right there.
It's metal as it goes north. I know
They
this.
changed.
Yeah.
Okay, it could change.
Yeah.
I thought it was HDPE in front of ours, but okay.
The county has hodgepodged that pipe for a long time. It just needs to be replaced.
You ready for the question? Okay, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Did we get a second?
Yeah, Bob.
I did.
Bob
I seconded it. Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Next is MAP 281, Banning Engineering.
My name is Chandler Harden with Bain Engineering. It's 853 Columbia Road, Suite 101. Here to represent the replat of Olympic Minor, Lot 2.
Let me tell them what this is Moon Road, 600 South, as it goes to the interstate, the Quaker Boulevard and the interstate. The GIS is just really slow today. I apologize, but I'm trying to remember where.
It's that one right
It's
there.
this one right here. So this is the boys' school, this is the new roundabout, the new high school is right there where Gary's at. And we're talking right in, where is it at again?
Just left it right there. Yeah,
Right
that's the
there.
property there.
This is called Olympic Village, and it was, I think, originally 2 lots.
I don't think the first lot was ever platted.
Yeah.
Because it's
I think
lot number 2.
it says lot
but-
2,
yeah,
but
but there's only one lot.
I
in the subdivision.
researched that, and I could not figure out where lot 1
I
was.
couldn't either. I think at some point they planned on 2 lots.
Yeah, and Trescott is right down here, the new subdivision. So gives you an idea where you're at. Go ahead.
Okay, so the purpose of this project was to carve off a 3-acre parcel on the south end of Lot 2 for access from Trescott to build a road through for the future development of the parcel to the west of us. The block that we're carving off here on the south end of Lot 2 will have approximately 3 homes on it, but it's really just the throughway from Rippling Rock Drive from Trescott to get to the proposed development on the Jones parcel, which is the larger 30-acre parcel to the west of us. At this time, there's no improvements. It will go through the major subdivision process once annexed to the town of Plainfield. Really the presentation is just for the approval of Drainage Board and Plat Committee to go ahead and carve off the property so that it can be annexed and the developer can purchase the property.
So you're saying, our notes say 2 parcels on 9.337 acres. You're saying there'll be 3 homes on those 2 parcels?
The existing home like that will stay. I
Okay, I see what
have
you're
a exhibit here, yeah. It's just that the south parcel, this is how it exists today. We're just gonna carve off the south 3 acres just for a through road. It's just a
Oh, okay.
curved road to get through
Okay.
here, and there'll be
Pass it
approximately
down to
three
the
lots down
members.
here, yeah, on the new subdivision.
Okay. You can see where are we? Okay, you can see the recommendations for preliminary and final, and there is no regulated drain. So Chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and none opposed, motion carries. Next is MAP 744, West Point Business Park, Manning Engineering. Jeff, are you doing this one?
I can.
I can do it if you want me to. It's just for a water line.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
This is one that's going to the joint drainage board as well. It includes Morgan County and Hendricks County. They're really doing this to extend the water line so it can create a loop for the water company, is basically what they're doing. Is that correct, Jeff?
Correct. Jeff Banning Engineering, 853 Columbia Road, Suite 101, Plainfield. Yeah, as part of our approval for, I'll call it Building 5, which was the majority was in Morgan County, citizens asked us to complete a loop, so we're platting right-of-way for the future road extension over to State Road 39. So what you'll see in the future is a right-of-way plat for that as well. As Dave and I talked, this goes to the Joint Drainage Board, in 2 weeks, I think it is.
The joint drainage board will be at 8:30 at our next drainage board meeting here. So, Ike, did you?
Just for clarity for the record, I mean, we did review it also for the road itself.
Yeah.
So I didn't want
Right.
to say that it was just the water line, so somebody has to come back. We did review the road itself. They may or may not be building the road right away, but they do have several road crossings. We did review that, so from a technical standpoint, not just for the water line, but also for the road, we did review it, that's reflected in the memo. So,
Denny's been involved in
That's Walmsley and West Point, so.
Okay, and while we're on the subject, you and I talked, we're gonna have the joint drainage board meeting, and they're gonna come here.
Yes.
And we're gonna move over to one of the other rooms for the joint board meeting in case it goes over.
Right.
So the commissioners can go ahead and start in here.
Right.
So on this issue, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the proposal before you regarding the water line.
I would move final approval for this.
Second.
Moved and second, further discussion? Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Next is Dale Cruz, MIP 1200.
We're just gonna move north on this one to Cartersburg Road, just south of Danville.
Good morning, Dale Cruz, Cruz Consulting, 7384 Business Center Drive in Avon. And I'm here this morning on behalf of the Scott family who desires to subdivide this parcel of land that we're talking about into 2 lots, which is just south of the intersection of Cartersburg Road and County Road 200 South. Landfill's right up there. So this property we're talking about today is this land. Basically, it's this land right here. And they desire to take this land and divide it essentially into 2. So there'll be a north half, south half. The house will be built back here on this higher ground, and then one back here in this corner with one driveway out to Cartersburg Road. And that's it. That's about at the end of this one.
The office is recommending preliminary and final approval. There is no regulated drain. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Then moved and second. Is there further discussion?
Dale, is that, Hawkeye storage just on the east side?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
correct.
Right there.
Thanks. All right.
wondering what that was.
And we're here.
All right.
Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There are none opposed. Those opposed? There are none opposed, motion carries. MRP 161, Dale again.
Again, for the record, Dale Cruz, Cruz Consulting, 7384 Business Center Drive in Avon. This particular is a 1-lot plat just north of Montclair. Montclair's about to grow by 1 lot. It's an existing parcel actually that we're cleaning up an illegal lot split. It's about 5 acres. It's at the southeast corner of Montclair Road and 625 north, 650, 625.
Yes. There's Tri-West. The GIS is just not working, so we're trying to.
I'm very familiar where we are.
I've even got the legal drain layers on.
Yeah.
We're right in there, aren't we? Isn't that it?
Right there.
We're just east of North Salem I don't know, 2 miles. And it's right there. Did you say?
Yep, that's it
Yeah,
right there.
okay.
So this is Montclair Road.
This is our legal drain right up here, by the way, the Hunt West. It's not coming up on GIS, but that's our legal drain. And he's right here. Go ahead, Dale.
Yep, so this is essentially it's the wooded acreage. It gets out in the field just a little bit, but it's the wooded acreage to create one lot out of this. I think years and years and years ago, I think there was a house here. Because you can't really see it, but right in there is an old barn, a really, really old barn. And I think there used to be a house here years ago. But years ago, the Hemsels bought this parcel right here, which left this, which essentially made it an illegal lot split. So we're here today to clean that up, so the guy that bought it can build a house. You know, the funny thing was, Bob, I thought you farmers knew where tiles were. So there's a
Not all of them.
there's a riser right there. Corey Hemsel put a riser on a tile right. There's an old pond in here, and there's a riser right there now. Corey put a riser on it. Hemsel did. And we hired a swimming pool delivery truck, brought us 5,000 gallons of water, and we put it in the tile. And Corey said, "Yeah, it's right up here. It comes out right up there." Well, it took all the water, and we searched and searched and searched, and we never found it. We never found the water. Never found where it came out. So Corey said, "Nah, it's what it does." So Corey brought his own water wagon out here. We did it again. Still couldn't find it. Then this neighbor right here, we did it a third time. This neighbor came out right here and he said, "You know, if you would have just asked, I could have told you that it went down there and then up there." So the third time was a charm, and it worked fine.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. Yep.
No, Marion's father and I have had this discussion. We do not know where they all are. We stumble onto them
Yeah,
sometimes.
that little treasure maps that, you know.
It would be so nice to know where
Yeah.
they all are.
Yes,
So nice.
the recommendation of the office is for preliminary and final approval, $100 per lot. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Further discussion? Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I enjoyed your humor.
Thanks. We
Mr.
enjoyed the
Stillwell.
tile search.
Tiffany, you got a recommendation for us?
I do. I recommend Beechwood Construction with the lowest quote of $6,225.
You've heard the recommendation. Chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
They're not opposed, motion carries. Next, Mike Starkey.
Mike knows where all the tiles are.
Not this farmer. Good morning, and it's a beautiful morning with some sunshine finally, so man, glad to see that. I'm Mike Starkey with your Hendricks County Soil and Water Conservation District, and I have Bree Ollier, who is our resource conservation. She's part-time, as a matter of fact, but because about, 2 years ago you went part-time?
Yes.
Because she has a little girl at home that she wanted to spend more time, so we wholly supported that. And speaking of that, we submitted in our budget this month for another part-time person because we're getting a lot of calls. As a matter of fact, our staff has been reduced by 65% the last couple of months because the Doge cutbacks, and we don't even have a district conservationist in our county at this time. As Michael would know, we are really cut back. So hopefully with the support of council and the commissioners, we'll get an approval for another part-timer. But with that, we got a nice grant for all of us. And Bree's going to briefly discuss about it and just mention what we have with regarding Mill Creek. And I'll turn it over to Bree.
So Mill Creek the Mill Creek watershed has kind of been a concern for us for a while. I did a lot of research and digging, and I couldn't really find anything that's been done for the watershed as a whole since 1965. There was a watershed management plan written by Banning Engineering, and it was not ever really followed through with. It was about a $4 million project. So our board and our staff at the district decided it was a good time to write a grant. So we were awarded a 205J grant from IDEM in the EPA to write a watershed management plan for we have a Big Walnut one too, for Mill Creek. So we have just begun this project. We had a very successful public meeting and had over 40 people in attendance to kind of stress their concerns and be stakeholders in this project. And our very first steering committee is coming up this week. It's June 12th at 10 a.m. at Trailwater Park, which is just right by the dam of Kegel's Mill Lake. So we're super excited to start this project. It's a $139,000 grant that will cover about 24 months. And that's going to allow us to do water testing over 15 different areas through the watershed, and then write a watershed management plan, and then also provide education and community outreach for this watershed. So we're hoping that after this 24-month grant is closed, we will apply for an implementation grant, and then we can have cost share available for the landowners and farmers in this watershed for a whole swath of conservation practices to help this watershed out and to get more conservation on the ground and improve flooding and water quality and all of those things. So just wanted to make sure this was on your radar, and if you have any concerns, please feel free to contact me. If you're interested, I can let you know
Is
on the
Mud
dates.
Creek in?
Yes.
It is in the watershed. The watershed of Mill Creek, I don't know if you can see this, but it is in the southwest part of the county. It stretches all the way up to 36. I mean, it takes in Clayton, Amo, Coatesville, Stilesville. It's a pretty, everything that doesn't go to the West Fork of White Lick goes over here to Mill Creek eventually. So it's huge. It is.
So the new Hinky development will be in that area.
It's Belleville, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
This is
it's
the-
close to the water. It's close to that where it'll go to West Fork of White Lick and Mill Creek, one of the two.
This is where, at some point in time, close to Kegel's Mill, that the bottom is shale and they're gonna blow it out. But then, because there's a hump there that won't let it drain properly, but now we can't because of issues.
That was the Lake Ditch hearing where, yes.
There was a proposed huge reservoir
Yeah.
at Amo, in the Amo area, and in the 60s. And if they had followed, I wish they'd have followed through, because there wasn't the opposition to that kind of stuff as there is now.
Yeah.
So Bree and Mike, thank you very much. Thank you for following through. This is a big deal.
And compliments to Brita, really working hard to get this done, so thank you. Appreciate the support on that.
When or if you do quote education, are you talking about general public education or in schools?
It will mostly be general public. Our main outreach, I know we have a septic system maintenance workshop planned. I don't have the date set yet, but we're looking at either this fall or this coming winter. And then we're planning a field day to just talk about like cover crops and no-till and a lot of those
Do
things.
you
So.
coordinate any with the health department?
I have contacted them about the septic system workshop. So yeah, we're planning on partnering with the health department. And then I've talked to some septic system companies in the area that said they would be happy to come be our speakers. So they'll all be open fully to anyone, but it'll be held in Mill Creek and kind of targeted at those community members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else has anything to bring before the Drainage Board? Introduction of business by board members.
I was contacted, it really wasn't drainage, but it was, I talked to, they brought up health department, that's what these people need to contact the health department, not drainage. So I got them to at least get to the right place. That's in one of our housing additions to the north side of Brownsburg that Brownsburg does not want.
Speaking of that, I have no idea which subdivision you're talking about, of course, but we did some elevations on the Mary A. Gibbs through Northern Acres. And I'm trying to find it here. You all know the new subdivision that went in. And you all talked about this at the drainage board. We shot the elevation from the east line, just north of 700. This is Jean Ann Drive. Shot the elevation from here all the way down to 700. It is, there's two culverts right here under Jean Ann. It is absolutely flat from here to the east side of the subdivision. These two pipes really need to be lowered. And so I'll talk to John Ayers and the commissioners about, see if we can get this lowered. That would help this whole area that's holding water. From there on down to 700, it has some fall. The problem is, Jack, as you know, once you get south of 700, it's horrible. It's flat. It's holding water just on the south side of 700. So this was brought up about a month
When they did the
ago.
road, did they make that a clear span bridge or did they leave pipe in it?
I was thinking it was a three-sided, but I can't answer that for sure. I need to double check that.
Because it had two big CMPs in it.
Yes.
And it was just holding debris.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Brownsburg replaced it with a three-sided, but I'd have to double check. But this was brought up about a month ago, and I wanted to update you guys on this. We did shoot the elevation.
Are you gonna bring it up to the commissioners today?
I won't today. I want to talk to John first before I do that. I hate to cold cock him.
Okay.
How much does it need lowered?
Man, if we could get a foot, that would be awesome. Yeah, it is. It's got 4 feet of fall from here to here, which isn't great, but it falls.
Well, that's
But
doable.
yeah, it's doable, but we can't, it just holds water here because it is exactly the same elevation here as it is here. And so,
Or if we could just make it three-sided, that way.
yeah, three-sided would be even better, but, well, I'll bring it back, but I wanted to update the drainage board because we talked about this about a month ago. Okay,
And
go ahead, Jack.
How old is, no, how old is that?
The culverts,
Yeah.
Jean Ann, when Northern Acres was put in back in the, what, Jack, 70s, 60s, 70s? It's pretty old. It's a dual pipe. So I'll be bringing more news to you on that. We'll try to get that resolved if the commissioners and John can work that out.
We have another one of those on Sycamore Drive. It's
Yes, we
over-
do.
That's a 4-sided box that they put in
Yep.
about a foot too high and it's
Yep.
holding water on
Yep.
the east side of it.
That's why,
Does Hendricks kind of have control of that?
That is a Hendricks County drain.
that's a regulated drain. That was put in a couple of years before I became county surveyor. And that's why we have wetland plantings, because we can't drain it. So we just made lemonade out of lemons. Yep.
And
Raising turtles.
Dave, that's just open land in there?
It is. Yeah, it's an open ditch
Okay.
all the way through now. Okay. I wanted to update you on that.
I did attend the town of Liston, town council meeting last night, and they are going to issue a letter of support for our mowing. And then we can, between Tiffany and Dave and I, we can make the phone calls to the people, and by fall, we can get this done.
Okay.
Does anyone else, and the board members have any further discussion? Chairman, anybody else? Last call. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting's adjourned.
Okay.
Questions?
We don't want you to.
Please stand for the pledge and a prayer this morning by Greg Sturble. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to guide and protect all the citizens of Hendricks County. Please be with us today and let our decisions be pleasing in your eyes. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Thank you, Greg. Chair will entertain a motion on the minutes of our May 27th meeting.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion or comments on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Approval of the claims submitted to us. Any questions there? Chair would approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? New business. We have a public hearing that I need to open on the alleyway vacation in the town of Belleville. So I will open the public hearing on that.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Mr. Comer?
Hello. Thanks for having me. Ben Comer, 71 West Marion Street here in Danville, representing the hospital, who is interested in buying and developing a site in Belleville on 40 and 39, roughly 15 acres. And there, along 40, was an old plat, subdivision plat, with residential lots in there that had alleyways and street right-of-ways. Part of them have previously been vacated. We're looking to vacate the remainder of those alleyways. We see no future for those alleyways. I've spoken with Mr. Ayers. He's expressed no concern with this, and it will help with the development. Eventually, if zoning goes through and they do end up purchasing this property, they'll do an overall plat, I'm sure, to combine all the real estate and a development plan from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public on this? It's open. I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion on this, I believe. That's what we need to do next.
I'll move for approval.
I think it's an ordinance, so use your motion and approval of the ordinance, Bob.
Yes, it does.
I would second that. And we always do TBD numbers on the ordinances. Is that 9?
Okay.
Thank you. You just rattled that right off the top of your head.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 9, which is to vacate the alleyway in the town of Belleville. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we also have a public hearing on proposed ordinance for maximum speed limits, and there's 2 ordinances on this. One is in Cartersburg, and the other is in the, I think generally the Brownsburg area. So I would open the public hearing on these 2 ordinances for speed limits. John, you want to make any comments?
The first one is, like you said, in the town of Cartersburg, there's a number of small streets there that are not posted. They're also very narrow. I think it would be common sense not to speed on the streets, but apparently it's not. So it's appropriate to post those as 20 miles an hour based on the width and the congestion in that area, how close the houses are. The second ordinance is for County Road 901 East, which goes south, Dead End Road going south from 56th Street, and then there's a street called Sunset Lane that tees off of that. I'm recommending a speed limit on 901 of 35 miles an hour, and then on Sunset Lane of 20.
Thank you. And
10 and 11 would be my guess.
Yeah, is it safe to say this is ordinance 10 and ordinance 11?
Yeah.
You're right. Mr. Wicker?
Move for approval ordinance.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
I'll-
Oh, yeah.
Any comments from the public on these? Yeah, I'll close the public hearing on that now. Chair would entertain a motion.
Move for approval ordinance 10 and 11 for speed limit posting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve these two ordinances. Any other discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heartland Crossing, a 5-year tax abatement. Joe?
Sir. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Joe Jason with Hendricks County Economic Development Partnership. We're presenting a project at Heartland Crossing, asking for a 5-year abatement. It's going to consist of 3 buildings in Canby, Indiana, with a total square footage of about 80,000 and a total investment of about 8.6 million. Now, in the past, we've offered as a council 10-year abatements for much larger projects. We have been working with Hendricks County in order to get a better matrix in order to evaluate spec building projects like this. And based on the size of the project and the amount of investment, the expected number of jobs, which will be about 27, it is recommended that this be recommended to council for a 5-year.
And I would add to what Joe has said. Eric Waffen and I have talked about this, and he's in agreement with it from a councilman's standpoint. And,
Mr. President,
yes.
if I might.
Yes.
One comment I get constantly is that, well, they're gonna grant the abatement and then they're gonna be here for 5 years and then they're gonna move out. But I think Brian said once that only like 1 out of 10 do that. Can you just address that for the general public so we can be on the record?
There's clawbacks on all abatements. I've been doing this for 24 years. I've only seen companies move out in their abatement if they go out of business.
Okay.
Certain things. They're not doing this project for the abatement. You're putting in, it's a fraction of what they're investing in. So that's not the driver of the project.
Thank you
It just
for
helps them
clarifying.
accelerate it. So.
Yep, absolutely. And with spec building, you have the added bonus of it's kind of hard for them to move the building once they build it.
And also for clarification on an abatement, I mean, the property tax starts at 50% and progresses to 100. Is that correct?
Phasing
Incorrect?
down. Yep. The raw land becomes the base, and then the improvements, and we phase over 50 years. For something this small, I really like doing the 5 years because it's less monitoring as it accelerates. So
It's not a real long period of time.
Thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely.
So the chair,
Move for approval.
Second.
been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Brian.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Next on our agenda is a modification for the B&O Trail Association. They received ARPA money, and if any of you can hear that, I apologize.
No, I can't hear what you're talking about.
I thought I had it off. I do now. I wear hearing aids, so it's real loud in here. Sorry, that's embarrassing. Anyway, Jeff Smallwood is here. Jeff, and I would say Nancy Marsh, thank you because you're serving as council person now, but you're also continuing to monitor the ARPA monies. So thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. So Jeff, go ahead.
So, well, as you said, we received a grant from the American Rescue Plan Program a couple of years ago for the purpose of extending the B&O Trail further into Hendricks County through Maplewood and beyond. And we just want to make a minor amendment to that so that we can use a small portion of that, roughly $20,000, to purchase some land in Maplewood. That will really make it an advantageous situation for all parties involved. When we acquired the B&O corridor back in 2009, in Maplewood, it was such that we only acquired the southern half of the primary railroad right-of-way, and then there was a siding beyond that was farther south from that. As a result of that, we were not able to design the trail to be on the railroad ballast, and so we went south of that, into the siding area, which actually has the trail alignment just right behind some of the houses that are just south of that along County Road 500N. We recently, the owners of the north half of the original corridor have recently expressed interest in selling that to us. It's Justin and Brian Coleman, who live in that area. And that would give us a great advantage, the fact that we could shift the alignment of the trail back onto the rail ballast, which would make it less expensive to construct because you don't have to haul in as much fill gravel to build up a base. You've already got the nice solid ballast base. So it's better in that regard. It's more privacy for both trail users and the adjacent property owners because it shifts the trail farther north. It has trees aligning the trail on both sides. It just kind of gets it completely out of the sight of those adjacent property owners, which I think is advantageous for both the trail users and the property owners. And also at the 100E crossing, it allows us to go straight across the corridor without getting into any of the culverts. The county just recently replaced the culvert there at 100E. Yeah, and if the trail alignment the way it is, we were going to have to veer back northwest to get back up to the trail alignment, which is going to have us run right over the top of both the north-south and the east-west drainage swales there. Excuse me. And that was going to create a lot more drainage work that we were going to have to do. So by having it up on the ballast, we're able to go straight across and just stay away from all those drainage issues. So there's multiple factors why it's to our advantage to be able to do this. And so we're simply asking to be able to use a small portion of the American Rescue Plan funds for the purpose of this property acquisition.
So, question, Mr. President, have you worked out something with Justin Coleman?
Yes, we already have agreed. We've got.
I want to compliment you for doing that because I met with you guys out there and Jim's done a really good job with that. I'll move for approval.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve this modification, and the reason that Nancy couldn't just go ahead and approve it, there's a dollar amount limit, and this just barely sneaked over the top of that. So it needed to come back to us. So it's been moved and seconded to approve this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Jeff, and we thank you for.
Thank you, Jeff.
You retired from Lilly and you're now working full-time for nothing on the B&O Trail.
That's what Mary Jane would tell you, yes.
Now, also, before you sit down, tell everybody what's happening Saturday.
Oh, well, the B&O Bicycle Tour is this Saturday. It's our fundraising bike tour, which you're participating in.
Well, I'm going to be, but I signed up.
Oh, you signed up, yes. Yeah, so.
I would. I usually do.
Yeah, I know, you usually do, yeah.
Good.
So that's, yeah, thank you.
Thanks. You bet. All right, next item on our agenda is Link Public Transportation Service Contract Extension. And Stacy Ware with Sycamore Services.
Yes, sir. We just need to get approved extending it a year from January 1 of this year to December 31st of this year.
Okay with everybody?
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, guys.
Banning Engineering. Excuse me.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hawks Creek Memorandum of Understanding.
For the record, Jeff Banning, Banning Engineering, 853 Columbia Road, Suite 101, Plainfield. I have here with me this morning Edward Freeman from Weekly Homes and Steve Rehoff from my office in the back. So just so the experts are back there if I can't answer some questions. So this is an issue that I brought up with John several months ago. We have a subdivision. Good. You guys have the packet, I hope? Okay.
We've got it all.
So we had a Weekly Homes approached us, oh gosh, it's pushing a year or more now, about a subdivision that they were proposing to do on ground basically north and west of Connection Point Church up in Brownsburg. And there was actually an approved subdivision through the town of Brownsburg for that property by another developer that ended up failing and did not go through. Well, as we started looking at what had been done in regards to that, one of the big issues, or really two big issues, I think. One, they had a bridge going across White Lick Creek to the tune of $3 million plus, right? The other issue was an access.
Very nice bridge.
Yes, it was. And I've been involved in bridges, and we want to avoid those, right, John? We don't want to take care of those in perpetuity. The other issue was they could not get access approved out onto State Road 267. So when David Weekley Homes approached us, we kind of became more visionary and started thinking about, okay, how can we solve this problem to make it more make more sense, not to have all these, improvements that maybe aren't really needed. Well, what we found out is that the church actually owned property that went up to County Road 800. And that was not part of the original approval. So what we did is we started heading down the road, no pun intended, to have an access onto County Road 800. So when I talked to John several months ago, one of the problems we ran into is we could not secure right-of-way from the adjoining people that we would have needed to get the right-of-way to build the county standard. Even though this is a Brownsburg project, it's a county road. It's kind of like we heard in the drainage board, we have all these overlaps. And we tried and tried and tried. We've done a traffic study, and I know the standards say we've got to put a passing blister and turn lanes, but there is not the traffic study suggests that we do not really need a passing blister or turn lane. So what we've tried to do is to find the way to compromise, let's say. And what David Weekley Homes has proposed to do is to actually pay for, put in some sort of fund, the cost for securing the right-of-way, the cost for building that passing blister, when and if the time comes or when it's needed. And that's really what we're here before you to discuss. I know we're trying not to set a precedent. That is not what we want to do. I know John and I have had this discussion. I know he's talked with Steve in our office. One other element I want to point out on this is that County Road 800, if everybody's aware of that, it tees into 267. The other thing that the traffic study showed is that we really need another turn lane there. Weekley Homes actually has an agreement to buy right-of-way and build that improvement as part of this development as well. So we're taking care of the improvements that are required by the traffic study, which is at 800 and 267, which is at the entrance, which will be a combined entrance with Connection Point Church and the subdivision on the east side of the creek. And what we would like to do is create a memorandum of understanding that we will bid out what it takes to build the right-of-way, this connection, the passing blister, the right-of-way, and this connection. We would put that in a fund. We'd have an MOU that we'd like Greg to review and go from there. So that's the extent of it. I'm sure John probably want to chime in. You might have questions, but that's where we're at.
Okay, John, do you want to make sure comments?
Yeah, we've talked about this for quite a while, and like I made some comments in my memo to you about the situation here, and we require, and I'm not familiar with what Brownsburg standards will be in a similar intersection, but what we talked about requiring for this intersection was what the county would require. The 800 North is classified as a major collector, and so we have differing levels of turn lane requirements and passing blister requirements depending on the classification of the road. Much like how we do with requiring different right-of-way dedications, that's in anticipation of what that road is going to be at some point. Right turn lanes, deceleration tapers are a no-brainer. That's pretty much on every road. At certain classifications of road, it kicks in the need for passing blister. And I want to correct one thing. While the traffic study that they had done does not show that we meet the NDOT warrants for a right turn lane or a left turn lane, it does meet the NDOT requirements for a passing blister for left turn traffic based on the number of left turns. So if you go to the NDOT design manual, or the entrance design guide, the manual for driveways and entrances and intersections, it does recommend a passing blister, which is what we're asking for on the north side. So that is consistent with what they would have to do. The other things, like Jeff said, it's basically our ordinance to require right turn lanes and decel tapers automatically for any intersection. And that's just kind of protect that for future growth that we see happening there. And they did talk to me after they approached the property owners, and I know they encountered a lot of resistance, and that happens sometimes. I guess I'm concerned about it setting a precedent. So it's a little bit of an unusual situation. It's been a while, but I've seen developers have this issue in other places. It's been a long while, actually. I'm thinking back to even Oaks of Avon, maybe on 10th Street.
Yeah.
And they had an issue with getting right away on the opposite side of the road.
Yeah.
They didn't control for a passing blister. And they ended up having to do that. The county, of course, that was a long time ago. But so I can't think of a case where we have done that for a developer. But I mean, I understand the buying their end, that they can't force the property owners to sell. And basically what they're asking you to do is be in the situation where we take it over as a project, and then we have more leverage to acquire the right of way to make those improvements. So I worry about it setting a precedent. If we do move forward with it, I think there needs to be maybe firmer language in the MOU to make sure that we're made whole for the costs, and maybe base it on actual costs and not estimates. It's just a thought if we choose to move forward with it.
And to add on to what John said, we would love to build this. I mean, we would love to acquire the right of way. We've just not had any success. We don't really want to go back to building a bridge across the creek and cutting off that north end up there. So we're just kind of at a loss, and that's why we thought, well, we'll bring an MOU. We're happy to, work with John on those costs. And it's just one of those circumstances. I haven't run into this. You said Oaks of Avon. I hadn't run into this since the city of Indianapolis probably 30 years ago, and they just dropped it. And here again, I'm not trying to say that as part of this approval, but it rarely happens, and this is just one of those situations. We think this is a better design long-term. That's why we think it's, one of those odd situations. We don't want to set a precedent either. And I know that's always a challenge, so.
Question, Mr. President. So then theoretically, they're saying we take it over and then we would condemn the ground and go through condemnation to get.
Well, maybe. I mean, we would take it over as a project, then in the course of the project, we would buy right away like we would for any other project.
At this
It
point,
may end up going to that level, we don't know.
I'm not inclined to support that, no offense.
Jeff, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, Bob, we're not suggesting that's not what we're proposing. We're proposing that we put money in a fund for when the time came, there would be money for buying right of way, for building this improvement. We're not asking to go to condemnation. We're just asking to connect our roadway with what we have available to us today from a right of way standpoint, but then putting money in a fund for right of way securing, for road improvements that are required per the ordinance.
Should the county decide to move on that as a
Correct.
project in the future?
That's right.
And my opinion is it would need to be done fairly early. I mean, I really would hate to see this entrance go in without those improvements.
I hate to see the opportunity for growth be prevented by landowners that are not willing to sell that. Now, out of respect, I understand those landowners, but they're holding a positive project hostage because of that.
Regardless of when it happens and who does it, the right of way is going to have to be acquired. So it's, their means to do that is more limited than our means to do that.
So if the question, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
So if the government isn't involved in this, then they just have to keep upping the offer to pry them loose from the ground.
We're not even getting to that point. They don't even want to talk. It's not about money.
They had some pretty detailed logs of their conversations and meetings with the people. It's a tough crowd.
it's gonna prevent the project.
So Jeff, this project ties into the Windridge subdivision, correct?
This one does, the old one did as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. No, I understand.
There's a stub street from Windridge onto the church's property.
And that's where it ties in.
Correct.
And so on. On the east side of White Lick, are there gonna be homes out there as well?
There will be.
Okay.
That'll be a smaller section of the
Coming right
overall
off,
development, just
Green
north
Street.
of the church. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And is that a part of this whole development or not yet?
it is, yeah.
Okay.
So we've got like the east side development, which is a smaller section off of Green Street, 267.
Right.
And then we've got the west side that will tie into Windridge, and our hope is to tie into 800.
To get my bearing straight, how, on 800, going from Green Street West to the old, I call it Bethesda Church, how far over is where this intersection is?
Probably pushing a half mile, I'm gonna say somewhere in that range.
So maybe halfway across.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
not quite, it's probably closer to Green Street, but
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to picture that in my mind. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
The church owns a house there and some ground that abuts.
Okay, so one of the houses where this is owned by the church then? Got it. Okay. So that owner isn't objecting.
That owner is not objecting.
Got it.
Yeah, the extra right-of-way is needed, the right-of-way that they own where the actual road would be. What
Right.
they need to buy is for the
Yeah, the
auxiliary lanes
tapers
that
and
are
the
necessary
turn
to
lane,
complete the
yeah,
intersection.
Got it.
passing blister.
Okay. Other questions from either of you on
I don't have a
this?
problem with the request. I understand that it's preventing
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah. I assume that David Weekly Homes wants to move ahead as quickly as they can.
They would like to do that, yes.
What if, what if we were to ask you to go back and put some of the harder cost numbers together so we know what all of that is, and it's not maybe estimates, but it's firmer numbers?
We've actually done that.
Engineering process.
Yeah, we actually have what we think the numbers are.
Okay.
To do what you're asking to do would probably require design.
Yeah.
And until we get past
Okay.
zoning,
You don't wanna
I
do
mean, in the MOU, we've said in there, we will use hard numbers,
Yes.
bid those out. We would design it that way, let a contractor bid that.
Okay. Greg, have you looked at the opportunity to look at the MOU and so on?
Just barely.
Okay, all right, got it. Okay.
Another question, Mr. President. So the developer cannot move forward without the government's assistance. Is that accurate?
Well, if you're calling this action assistance.
It's not financial assistance.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But with government
Right. If you're,
imposing their will.
if that's what's chosen to happen. When I say assistance, our assistance is to get an MOU, a waiver, whatever we're gonna call this, to not build the passing blister. Yeah, right now. I mean, we're wanting to put money in a pot that the county can use when they choose to widen 800, build this intersection, what have you.
So what impact will this MOU have upon those people who are resistant to sell?
Right now, none until the county would act on improving the roadway.
And John, is your opinion that this project to really I'm searching for a word, I'll call it make it right or the best, is to improve the roadway along with the project because it's safer.
Yeah, I think it should be done, you know, like Jeff said, we have the option, if we were to go forward with this, to wait and do that with a larger scale project. I don't recommend that. I think the improvements need to be done fairly soon, early in this project.
That's what I thought you were saying, yeah, okay.
By somebody.
You're not opposed to, well, you are opposed because of precedent, I heard you say that, but if it's done with this project, that would work.
Yes. Yeah. I would recommend if we were to go forward, that we would use those funds to do this, make these improvements with this project.
That should be in the MOU.
And these funds then would be used to buy the right-of-way.
And construct. They would.
Yeah.
But won't condemnation ultimately have to be used if they resist to sell?
Seems likely.
You don't know. It seems likely based on their reactions. I mean.
And that's not where we were trying to head. I mean, we were not wanting to impose on the property owners from a condemnation.
Your preference would be provide the money for a future project.
Correct.
At a to-be-determined date.
Correct. And if we can't make this happen, you know, the likelihood is we're gonna back up, we're gonna look at the bridge crossing. You know, there would be no need to improve 800, the turn lane at 800 and Green Street. You know, we wouldn't even touch 800 anymore. That's not our preference. I don't think long-term that's the right decision to build the bridge across the creek. But we've got an approved project that we could do right now in Brownsburg and wouldn't even be coming to, you know, this group.
Hasn't there been some work done on Green Street already that, I'm not sure what was done up there within the past, I'll say 3 months of work, something that went on and so on, I know, and it's right in the area where the project would be coming off of Green Street.
State did some work.
Yeah, I think so too. That was probably more down towards the commercial area.
But that didn't have anything to do with this.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And if I understand, there's a little bit of differing of opinion on the traffic study and whether the passing blisters merit warranted or not. You're stating from an NDOT standard.
Right, well, he's right in saying the traffic study said no left turn lane is required, but that's not what we're asking for. We're asking for just a passing blister when there is left turning traffic. But again, our ordinance requires the right turn lanes and decel tapers and a passing blister for this classification.
Regardless of what the traffic study states.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I hear is.
And that's
truth lies
That's
somewhere
true
in between.
in most jurisdictions in the county, honestly, just so you're aware. This is just one of those situations we've tried and just have not been able to, you know, make it work. And I was standing here thinking, I think of when we did, if you remember Whispering Pines, which is now in Avon, and the developer put money towards a traffic signal at Honda Bridge Road, 625 and 100 South. You know, I'm trying to think of, you know, I'm not saying that's the same situation, but we're saying, hey, there's money out there for these improvements as, you know, things go on.
That's a little different because that's an off-site improvement required by the traffic study. But this is a little different because this is a direct, you know, at your intersection.
Yeah.
It's
Question,
simple.
Jeff
Yeah.
and John, so how much easement right away are we talking about that they need?
I think it's 50 feet on either side, if I remember correctly.
So does that,
100 feet
does that
total.
impose, that go past the setback line?
I don't think so.
Oh, really?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I completely understand, you know, you don't want one or two landowners to stop. But I don't like the government interfering on behalf of a private business. And I'm struggling with that.
Which, going back to your struggle, it was And I know where John's at on that. It was really not our intent to even build that necessarily soon, right? As part of this project, to go through that process, it was really to have a fund out there for when that road would be improved.
Your preference is that it's not improved.
We would like to do it if we could negotiate that, but we can't negotiate it. So to your point, yes. We were not trying to impact the neighbors in any way. That would be our preference. If they weren't up to being impacted.
And I'm respectful to property owners and condemnation, but I'm also respectful to progress, and here's where the two don't meet well together. And I sense Bob's sensitivity, condemnation, likewise here.
Yeah.
My preference would be, outside of what our engineer's telling us, is take the developer's money, don't make the improvement to the road that we adversely impact the owners that are gonna be angry that the process was circumvented because of our involvement. That's the best outcome, or make you build a bridge in a different manner.
And then the caveat also is we're building an improvement that's needed today as part of this. Yeah, at 800 and 267 Green Street.
As one commissioner, I would look at it as, let's not make that improvement. Otherwise, we're almost saying, yes, we will condemn the property because we have the ability to and you don't. So my position would be not to take the course of action. Should we be willing not to take the course of action to make that improvement and gain the right of way because we have the authority to do that?
I agree with Brad on what he just said, which I think goes along with Bob's thinking as well. If this was in a different location, it might end up a little differently. So I think what we're trying to say at this point is that go back and look at building the bridge and come off of Green Street. I think that's what we're saying.
Or knowingly allow the improvements to not be made and take their money.
Just to clarify, your suggestion, go ahead and just allow the street connection to be made, but not necessarily the auxiliary lane. So to do it as they're proposing and not construct the auxiliary.
At this time.
At this time, right.
But that,
I understand.
that goes against the standards we use on road improvements, right? That's what you're saying.
It's not typical with how we would normally do it, but again, that's a decision that's why Jeff's here. I mean, that's up to you.
In this area, do you think it's appropriate to not do that?
Well, I mean, that's kind of a loaded question. You put me on the spot, Denny.
You want to ask each of them the same question?
Right. Let me answer.
You're gonna get a yes and a
no. Obviously, we think it's prudent, since it's in our ordinance, to require those improvements with an intersection. Is it possible to do it without those? Sure, it is. And, that doesn't mean there's gonna be, we're gonna be on Fox 59 every day.
We grant waivers and exceptions all the time at Plan Commission for various requests. It's not unheard of to grant a waiver, which is not directly what they're asking for, but it's indirectly what they're asking for.
Essentially, yeah. If this were county development, that's what they'd be asking for, is a waiver of those improvements.
That's right.
So
And we've done that.
not on intersections very often, no, I don't think.
Okay.
But like Brad said, we have granted other waivers too, and that's why you're asking you for that.
But not in a location like this. Probably.
I don't remember ever doing waivers on street intersection improvements. That's not to say it hasn't happened, but I don't.
Fair to say that, should we do that, those improvements are gonna have to be made at some point in time in the future.
At some point, yes.
What and how that's defined, I don't know.
That's a great point. That's what I was just thinking, like, is this in our plan anyway? Forget Jeff's proposal. Is this improvement of the road and the need to have the right of way in our?
Not specifically, no. We declare it it's defined as a major collector in in our comprehensive plan, but there are no specific improvements laid out for that stretch of road
At this time.
Correct.
It's just their ordinance requirement. And I don't think Jeff would be standing before us if he thought we were creating a true traffic hazard.
Yeah,
If
no, there's
we
no way, yeah.
And like he said,
granted this.
No.
we do, like those signal and other off-site improvements that developers routinely contribute to. It's not unheard of for them to contribute for future construction of improvements. It's just usually those are off-site improvements, like a signal a mile away or something like that, not directly related to their entrance. Normally, those improvements are required to be constructed with the development, but we have done cases where the developer has funded, put money in escrow. For
The
future
traffic
developments.
hazard's not being created if we allow this exception.
And kind of going along with that, one last thing, and then I'll let you guys, that's like at County Road 800 and Green Street, right? We've talked to that property owner, he's willing to donate right of way, we're gonna build that. It's not like we don't want to build this because there's a standard out there, we wanna build that, but we cannot get the right of way. So we're gonna set aside dollars to, when this happens, if it's required, what have you, the dollars are there.
Today's dollars for a project that could be done 5, 10, 15 years from now. Unfortunately, we can't do the same with those dollars that private enterprise can to keep up with inflation, but that's the risk we take.
Well, and it would be our hope that, we can come up with a number with John, make sure Greg's okay with the MOU, that we put, the amount in there that makes sense, right?
And I may be on the island, I'm generally in agreement that it would be appropriate to do, with the understanding that I wouldn't be asking John to look at having the improvements made and condemning the property that we would have the right to do for that to be done in any time in the near future. But it does allow for progress of a project that seems to be a viable, qualified project within the town of Brownsburg.
So Brad, given what you just said, I don't think all of that
Is in the MOU.
in the MOU that we have before us.
We could look at it as a consensus.
What if we look at it that way as a consensus and let you and Greg work on the revised MOU that would come back to us then at our next meeting?
Next meeting?
And then let us look at that. How would that work?
I'm okay with that. I think they're hearing in the back what we need to come up with, and we probably need to include John in that as well, just to make sure.
And I think the wording in the memorandum, it gives us flexibility on when we choose to do the work.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But I think we can tie that together and really come up with something more concrete. We don't want to set a precedent either.
No,
This
no.
is just an odd situation.
Right.
And so, yeah. Okay. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Did you get a consensus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I was the only one.
Thanks.
What Denny
Thanks.
proposed, I agree with.
Okay, very good. And then we'll set a meeting up and go from there.
Would you folks, good?
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Seemed like
Two
a
of you. Yep.
less than ideal, but the right solution.
Yeah, good. All right, Health Department. You're gonna amend the food ordinance.
Yes.
To make people healthy again.
Yes.
All right, all right.
So the main reason we're updating our food ordinance is because there was a change in the Indiana Administrative Code, so there's a new rule. So it's to address that. And then we did want to take the opportunity to address how we do late fees for temporaries. So that's in there as well. Accept late fees for temporaries. So right now, all temporaries, and if there's a farmer's market or a mobile, most of those are done after hours, so evenings and weekends. Right now, there's a late fee if they don't give us 48 hours notice. But a lot of times Friday afternoons, that could be people come in last minute and then we're scrambling to review paperwork and get people out there. So we're proposing to change the late fee to a week before. And then if it's not within 48 hours, that we could deny it if we're not able to address everything prior to the event.
Chris, have you ever had occasion where you need to invoke that?
Denying it?
Yeah.
We haven't had that option before. We just, in our ordinance before, it was just, there was a late fee. And some people just, since our fees are low, we're like, we'll just pay the late fee and come in last minute, and it just causes us scramble.
I mean, first it seemed to me, looking at this, that based on what you said and so on, the late fee is still pretty low.
Yes.
Could we approve this and even make it a little higher? That might even give more incentive to push people to get in there.
And I don't want to, Lisa Chandler, our food team leader's back here too, she might have some insight, but I think we would be willing to see how this goes, because this is quite a big change from what we've had before. And since the fee is in the fee ordinance, we could come back later.
Okay, okay.
If it's not working, address it then.
Question, Mr. President?
Sure.
So how do you get the word out? I mean, a lot of these people, they're not on your website every day checking to see how do you get the word out to these people?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a list of a lot of our event coordinators that we can email, and we have a whole list of everybody that's gotten a permit with us in the last few years, so we could do a mass email to all of those people notifying
So is
them
that
of
farmers
the change.
markets, food trucks, all, okay.
And Lisa does a good job with working with the event coordinators prior to trying to get lists of people early so that we can have those discussions with them way ahead of the event actually occurring.
Question, Mr. President. So how does someone new, someone just starting a food truck, how do they know how to comply? Or how do they know they just don't load up and go show up at some place and start selling?
They learn the hard way.
Sometimes.
Well, I'm afraid that's when we'll get the call.
Those are the best lessons in life sometimes.
They are.
Yes, that is true. We do find people out that are operating without a permit. We usually try and give them the benefit of the doubt the first time, and we will do an inspection and tell them they still have to apply after the fact. As long as everything is okay, we'll still let them operate. But otherwise, I get calls every single day of how do I start a food truck? How do I apply for a temporary event? So I think most event coordinators get the word out to their people that they need to contact the health department. So we typically don't have a problem, just occasionally.
Okay.
And we also, if this passes, we would not be enforcing that immediately. We would probably do education the rest of the year on it and then enforce it next year.
Oh, I like that.
Sounds like they're user friendly at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good. So,
We do have some monetary penalties.
yes, correct. Yeah.
We probably should advertise this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and this would be ordinance
12.
12.
Can't do the
I
ordinance
have
yet.
Ann there.
I'm the one that's keeping track now. She turned that over to me. Practicing my counting skills.
All right.
We don't know the number yet.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, Mr. President, you need a motion then
For
to
a
advertise
hearing.
it?
We need a motion for a hearing.
Also move.
Second.
Second, to have a hearing on food ordinance, number to be given later. And that hearing could be when?
July 8th.
July the 8th. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good, thanks. Thanks, Krista, and.
Yes, thanks, guys.
Thank you. And we appreciate you heard that, we appreciate your willingness to be flexible with policy
User-friendly.
and work with people, and, yeah, that's very good. Okay. Mr. Swally.
Morning, gentlemen.
And Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
You want to transfer some things?
We have groundskeeper, no, we can't do it.
We've got it lined up outside.
Yes. We have groundskeeper equipment that hasn't been used for over a year, and we've been storing it. And I hate this, yes, it works. I hate to see equipment just sit. So we've worked with Brian to be able to utilize the equipment on his facility out at Gibbs Park, and we'd like to transfer that to him, with the understanding that if we was to need any of that equipment back, we can do that in a borrow method. But that's sort of what we have came up with to put that equipment back to work. rather than it just sitting in storage.
I think it's move for approval.
It's a win-win because it also helps purge the East Campus building.
Yeah.
And we can utilize the equipment, so thank
Ah,
you, Jack.
there's underlying.
Well, we got two places it's
motivation.
coming from, but yes, ultimate goal is
Right.
getting rid of that
We're
building.
getting close.
We are.
Yeah, we are.
Did you make a motion, Bob?
Yeah, I
I'm
did.
sorry. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve this equipment transfer to the Parks Department. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is a Barnes and Thornburg letter of engagement for the Monrovia wastewater petition. And what we're asking for with this is that you affirm
Your autograph?
my autograph on this that I've already done, so we could keep moving ahead with the
Yes.
Indiana Regulatory, Utility Regulatory Committee.
Greg wants you.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I emailed you guys yesterday and probably
Said
didn't bring
no
your
action.
attention to it.
Yeah.
That it's been determined that this petition of Monrovia is for a 4-mile jurisdiction. It does not come into Hendricks County.
Yeah.
So therefore, we do not need this letter.
We don't.
We're not affected by the petition.
Oh, okay.
So we don't need to intervene.
So everything I did was denied.
I moved to deny Denny's signature on 9/2025.
Second.
You don't need to take any action.
All right, thanks, Greg. Yeah, and that helps too, because I looked at that hourly amount and it almost choked. So I was waiting for you to come back to us and say, hey, I want a raise. So, okay, never
None of
mind.
that.
Never mind. All right, thanks, Greg. All right, next item is, Greg, you're still on. It's the Hinkie Development Interlocal Agreement with Plainfield to give Plainfield the right to do the planning and zoning for the Hinkie development.
Prior to
And we've done this before.
Yes.
When there's a property that we know is gonna be annexed into a town, it only makes sense that they have the planning and zoning for the planned annexation.
Okay.
Mr. President, I read the document from Greg, and I have no problem. I move for approval.
Second.
I moved and seconded, and I'm the one that signs this, so
Absolutely.
I go to jail and you don't. So, okay. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That's good. Keep that moving ahead. Comments from the floor. Anybody in the audience like to say anything to us? As long as it's nice. All right. Thanks. Elected officials, anybody out there? Okay. Or, well, we can't. Nobody's online. Staff reports. Mr. Ayers.
Most of mine are updates. Two things I want to point out to you. Item 4 about the case we were in court with last week. The judge ruled in our favor on the first part of that, the land acquisition part, so that's good news. They have set a trial date for the second part of that in August. And then, just real quick, item 5, pointing out we had, this is our Indiana Association of County Highway Engineers and Supervisors conference we had last week, and we had 5 employees recognized for continuing education from the Highway Department. So we're proud of that.
Congratulations to them, yeah.
And then Bridge 39, which is on Raceway Road, I have a title block for you to sign, and we'll put that on the title sheet. We're waiting on some, a pretty expensive water line relocation on that one, but then we'll go to a letting.
Very good. Any questions for John? John, I have one.
Okay.
I've noticed 700 in Brownsburg going over to the Ronald Reagan, that's still closed and not going across, but they've taken all the signs down that used to be right on 700 when you start driving on it. That says closed until you get to the Ronald Reagan where the railroad is, and then all the signs are there. So
That's not good.
My question is, could we not open that back up again?
If you recall, when we opened that for the winter,
Yes.
the idea was, once we started work again, we needed to
I
close it.
recall that. yeah.
And the contractor's pretty insistent on it. They're pouring the deck. Actually, they're doing a pour today, and they've got 1 or 2 more pours. They've got a lot of cross traffic there that crosses that. So
Okay.
the agreement we made with them was, once they closed it again in the spring, they could stay closed until they're complete in the fall.
Any update on the timing then of when that'll open?
Their contract completion date is November. I would anticipate it being sooner than that, but I can't promise that. Maybe.
Not July 1st.
I understand your question, but no, it won't be July. I understand your question, but I think it's important. We need to leave that closed for the duration.
That's fine. That's fine.
The people on 750 North aren't real happy about that either, because that's where the traffic goes.
I know that. And even if there's signs up, people are still gonna go that way.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look into that advanced signage and make sure we have enough signage coming from the west.
Okay. Very good. Mr. McCormick.
Well, items are informational, don't require any action by you, but I'll be happy to discuss any of them if you want.
Any questions? Rod? Okay, thanks. Mr. Morris, he left, or no, he didn't. No, he's asleep back there. Okay. All right.
I'll continue the trend, mine's just mostly updates, unless you have a question for me.
Anything? Nothing? Okay. Mr. Swally, again.
So item 1 is the biggest concern that I have currently, and we'll be addressing that at 11 o'clock meeting today. So once we get through that, I'll keep you in how that progresses.
Highway Garage Project. Yeah.
Item 2, that is something I have going on. I think maybe using that bond is incorrect, because I think that has to be on the same parcel as the jail. Currently, I have 3 of them that have died that I'm working on, and the others, they seem to be dropping as flies. And they're a unique brand that I'm really having trouble getting parts for, because the plan's called for a different type. And anyway, just for FYI, that we are working on that currently.
Okay.
Animal shelter number 3, that's the same thing. It's just tired, so. Any questions?
Make some comments on the coroner's office building and what's going on with that right now.
So currently we have, currently we have the 2 appraisals that I have sent in. I believe we're moving forward with making an offer, and our hopes is that we succeed with that. I believe that the appraisals came in appropriately for us, and looking forward to that. I'm not really sure about the lease agreement of the existing, how we're going to potentially deal with that. That would probably be a Greg thing. But I think if we do and get that built out, it will help us here in this building by transferring some people to that location, and will help us in our parking and everything else related, I believe, in the big picture, so.
And FYI, that what Jack shared with me, the appraisals actually came back higher than what the offer was. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
We don't have we were under an LOI, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And that LOI stated the average of the 2 appraisals. I saw the number.
Okay, yes.
I will tell you that I'd buy it for that.
I can't quote that, what the LOI currently right in my mind, but ultimately, the value of that building, I think, really came from our improvements that we made in that building. I'm not disagreeing that I think that's a big part of that appraisal, but all in all, we can use the space and really help us with our space study and some of those things that I believe, and I think in the future, it's a good thing.
Probably the income more than the improvements.
Correct.
So we can now buy that building?
We're in the process of buying that building.
We're working on it, yeah, but it's convoluted.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I believe I've got all the steps done. Next will be the purchase agreement. I believe that's to Greg now for his review. And I'll get back.
That one item on the survey, that might put a burden of cost on them they're not interested in.
Correct. Currently, I'm trying to get a quote on what that would be, so we know what that number is in case we need to absorb that or something.
That's Jeff Bannon, he's in the back.
Yeah, I can, anyway, so, we're working on that currently, I'd like to get that success, or that.
And that shouldn't be, we don't want that to have a
Yeah.
impact on.
That was my feeling, especially since the appraisals came in the way they did, but anyway.
I wasn't surprised.
Question,
That
Mr.
didn't-
President. Item number 3, Jack, are you gonna pursue the air purifier?
I am pursuing that. I've had some challenges finding somebody locally that's there for their profession, because the one that was designed before was just a mechanical engineer so I'm reached out. I'll be presenting that a little bit later, but to get that the way it should be. I'm also planning on moving it out of the attic because for one thing, I cut the end of the building out to get it out and locating it outside the building and ducting it back in.
Thank you.
It's in a terrible location currently, and the air purification appears not to have worked for a long time, so.
Wow,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Greg, any comments? Commissioners, Bob, anything?
No, sir.
I would just publicly state that John Ayers and I had a meeting with Kurt and Casey out at the Highway Department last Friday and felt like it was good and constructive and talking about some of the challenges they've been dealing with and wanted to publicly state that Casey and Kurt have my support in their positions.
Good. Glad you did that.
Good. We support you in that.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
on you as well.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Comment I would make, some of us had a meeting with the Airport Authority and Republic Air on the Lift Academy that operates out of the Gordon Graham Field. The comments that I'll make, they're going to look at some things that came up from some of us that met with them to perhaps make a few changes and tweaks, but that's totally up to them. They do not have to. The Airport Authority owns the Gordon Graham Field. They built it. The county did not. It is controlled by them. It's a public access airport, which means just kind of what that says. And so the people that live around it and so on that continue to contact us because of what goes on there, we can certainly talk to the airport and communicate with them, but I think we have done what we need to do to address all the concerns that we've been hearing, and it's really in the hands of the airport to continue to work on that. So that's kind of a public statement to whomever might be listening to us. I think we've taken seriously the comments, and we understand that the people that live in Hendricks County that have concerns, but we do not control that. The county does not control that. And that's kind of where it is, so. All right, anything else?
Your neighbor to the airport to the east will not be complaining about the noise.
We understand that the county has bought land and is gonna build a highway garage there. And it could be that we could enter into a contract to clean the runways with our snowplows.
There was a discussion yesterday that Denny was gonna be out there plowing the runway.
I don't think so. All right. We are adjourned. Thank you.
There's this
America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item we have before us is the approval of the minutes from the May 13th meeting.
Move for approval.
Second?
A motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Moving on to the Aqua Indiana report.
Nothing really to add to my written comments unless you have any questions.
Questions for?
None? Nope. Looks good.
How'd we go down to one EDU? That's my math's bad, yeah. You shut somebody off, didn't you?
No shutoffs. That, the EDU count waivers, it's on a cash-in basis, so if you're
Okay.
behind it, so it gradually grows, but it does this a little bit. Customer account is firm though.
Nothing further for Indiana Aqua. How about American Structure Point?
Hi, nice to see you all again.
Good morning.
She's back.
Yep. Little girl, Maria, she's 3 months old today, so doing well. I've been getting caught up on everything. Looks like last month we just had a couple of plan reviews. I do have a transfer of assets form for signature. So usually you formally accept these and then sign. So it's for Avon Landing Phase 2. So I'll put this up for you. And then filled in where
You just want autographs?
Yeah, it's just.
Oh, look at this. I only have to sign this one.
Excellent. We approve of that.
Yeah, we do.
I think I just assumed some liability.
Thank you. Do you have any questions on anything?
On the Meyer grocery store up in Brownsburg
Yeah, lots of.
and the gas station that's part of that and so on, have you had any input at all coming from Chick-fil-A to go in around there? I live in that area, or not that area, but I live in Brownsburg. I get tons of questions all
So
the
you're just
time.
wondering if you're getting a Chick-fil-A anytime soon?
Exactly.
I haven't heard, but I know there's like, what, 2 or 3 outlots,
There are.
but
That's-
we have not seen any.
So you haven't seen anything?
Nope.
Okay.
No development plans have been submitted, so.
Okay, just wondering.
Maybe speak to the local franchise owner here in Avon and see what his plans are.
No, I know Chris well, so,
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. All of the real estate stuff comes out of Atlanta, Georgia.
True,
Yeah.
yep.
For Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
Yes.
Where's it proposed to go there?
Well, in one of the outlots right around the new Meyer Grocery. So here's Ronald Reagan's coming up through here, and here's 56th Street. And here's where Meyer is
Oh, okay.
going. Here's Ortho Indy, right there.
Okay.
And there's 2 or 3 or 4 outlots around there, yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Exit 59, I-70, 39 update. I'm
I don't
gonna
have
put
any
Jim on the
new
spot on
from my
that.
end. Greg's probably got more detail and
No, nice. I know Monrovia submitted a proposed order, which obviously is not in our favor. Now we're just gonna wait on the IURC to make a decision.
Greg, I can just add, we're allowed to comment on their proposed order, so I met with Aqua's attorney yesterday and brainstormed our feedback, and it's due next Monday.
Super.
So we will be submitting kind of a rebuttal statement, if you will.
Where you got that? Mark?
Yeah.
Good.
So if you want to speak to him, he's actively working on that.
I'm relying on Mark, yeah, I know he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, so we came up with some good points that we were able to kind of identify some inaccuracies in their statements and stuff, so.
Good.
We'll send
Well,
that
you know,
in.
Monrovia's trying to do things and telling other people they're not gonna do things. So,
Yeah, I think that's the basis of our
Sounds like a loose cannon.
comment, yeah. So that will go in next Monday.
good, I'm glad you're saying that.
Do you have anything else?
I don't have anything new to add to that, no.
You gonna give us this financial statement update, or are you just gonna tell us it's in our packet?
You got a packet there, it's got the numbers, see checking and money market account. Still moving in the right direction.
There's still some money in the pot.
Still money in the pot.
That's good.
Bob's over here signing checks for us, so.
I will soon, I don't want to preempt you.
Oh, and just a follow-up with Mrs. Grossman. That again with everybody, and they went on vacation. So we ended up decided, because
Now's the time?
she had a bear with 317, and there's only 2 people out of all of the subdivisions that we did that haven't had any complaints at all. She's been spewing everything on Facebook, and, you know, so anyway, we decided after last meeting that we would pull 317 out of the program, and then we'd get a separate landscaping company to come in and deal with that. And 317 can go put the rest of the stuff in. It's a different body, it's a, you know, they do landscaping, and all they do. They went on vacation, we went in there, cleaned the whole thing, done, seeded, straw, put back to bed. So, just.
Singing your praises now is what you're saying.
What's that?
She's singing your praises now.
I would not look for it.
I wouldn't lose sleep if she doesn't.
Yeah.
All right, so we've reviewed the financial status. We still have a few bucks left. Claims for approval of payments. Bob, you signed those yet? or-
Town of Monrovia, $14,519.02. Aqua, Indiana, $1,526.50. Hendricks Power, $956.24. American Construction Point, $27,284.73. American Construction Point, $23,520. Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor of approval of the claims, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any wishes to be heard in the crowd? Anything from Hendricks Regional Board members?
Nothing.
No, sir.
Our attorney?
No, sir.
All right. I would say we are adjourned.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
He wants autograph on